Thanks for joining us today. So today what we're going to do is we're going to discuss another piece of the swimming puzzle. So it's going to start in the hydrodynamics section, and we want to understand a few things about hydrodynamics. Number one is in regards to water, right? Water has a property. If I push on it, it tends to push back. So right where I push on it and it pushes back, I get an increase in pressure called the pressure field, field of pressure or pressure field. So with a pressure field, when you put, for instance, for you, all you fluid mechanics swimmers and people who are knowledgeable in hydrodynamics, as I push in what's called A1, A stands for arms, H for head, T for torso, and L for legs, A1. So we have A0, A1 comes up here, A2, A3, A4. So what happens in A1 is I push forward and down, so I'm pushing on that pressure field, it's pushing back. So as I make that relationship, right, I now gain what's called a pressure field. My hand is on the top of the pressure field, pushing downward, right? So it's, if this is the pressure field, my arm is up here pressing downward like this on the pressure field, and it's pressing back, causing the pressure field to occur. So that's called the top, right there. Okay, so I'm on the top of the pressure field, and then after I do A1, I move to A2. Now in A2, I wrap my arm around the front of the pressure field. That's called manipulation, because I'm manipulating my position to the pressure field. So I'm going from the top to what's called the front. Now the reason this would be the front is because I'm moving now in this direction. So the front is where I'm going to, and the back is where I'm coming from. Okay, so I've got my hand from the top in A1, and in A2 I wrap it around the front. Now in A3, the next phase where I'm starting to pull back from the top of my head to my xiphoid process, I'm going to do what's called a stacking effect. And in stacking, I'm going to now have this pressure field push against water, and it's going to push back, and as it pushes back, I get an increase in pressure again. And so there's an increase in pressure here, building a second, and then what's called a third and a fourth. So those are the, right, and this is what we already know, and we can stack. So I'm going to just build this in here like it's a stack of pressure fields, a quad. These are things that we already knew, A1, A2, A3. So a further development of this is where we have what's called a pressure field reaction force. So as we push off in A4, so we're going to use this and we're going to push off the front of this back in A4, back here, using our tricep extension, right, and push back like that, we're going to start to move forward. And as we do, we're going to apply force to the pressure field. So that's why we want this pressure field so supported. And so the pressure field has lots of support behind it, and then we push and apply force. And so I'm going to apply pressure this way, and I'm going to accelerate it. And that force is going to go back against the pressure field. Now the pressure field is going to do what's called a pressure field reaction force. So it's getting force applied to it, a propulsive force back, and it gives you a reaction, and that force goes back into your body to move you. Okay? So that's a pressure field reaction force. And so the force isn't just pushing against the pressure field, because if it did, the pressure field would move backwards. However, it's returning force back into your body to move you forward. And so that's what happens in A4. And as you accelerate, and the farther, the better relationship you have with the pressure field, now you can see that you could return more force, less slippage. Does that make sense? And you don't want to deliver the pressure into the pressure field and not have a return. You're not trying to move water. So you don't stabilize yourself and then try to push it, right, like on a floor or something like that, and push water that way. You're trying to move yourself forward. And so that, again, this is a PF, pressure field reaction force, PF, RF.